Hi, Grant Norsworthy here again from More Than Music Mentor. Dave, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
You're welcome. This is Dave Wright, author of Sound in the Gospel, but also an audio engineer that I love to take with me when I do my own More Than Music workshops. And we're a good partnership. We're building this up, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Great. So I know that you tend to spend time with all the technicians of a church team, and I'm spending more time with the instrumentalists and the singers, and we come together for where those two worlds intersect. We're all part of the one team, but we have different areas of expertise. And I know that it's great for those on the platform and those behind the console, like this, to have a really good understanding of EQ, equalization.
Yeah.
Maybe you could explain to us what that's all about.
So equalization is essentially the sound of whatever channel that we have coming through. It's the tone, the feel, just like words like muddy or honky or harsh or crispy. Those are terms that translates to a sound engineer to know what ranges to pull. And as sound engineers, we always want to cut before we boost. So if a vocalist says like, hey, can you make my vocal more crispy in my monitor or in the house? Instead of going and just boosting the high end, I might look to cut some of the lows or the mids out. So it's kind of a reverse thinking. A quick analogy is like in the studio, it's like we're more of a potter. We can add and boost and overcompress, add all these plugins and stuff, and then we have this awesome pot of awesomeness, which has nothing to do with marijuana. But and then if you take those settings from the studio into the live setting, you find those settings don't quite work. You have feedback. Like you forgot about the cymbals behind the singer that's all boosted and everything. So live sound is more like being a marble sculptor. So when we set the gain structure properly in our board on the channels and in the amps and everything, it's like we're setting the width and the height of our block, and we chisel down to make. So we're taking things away to shape our EQ and the tone and the sound of what we're trying to go for. And we're always trying to make it sound like the source, make it sound natural.
Natural and just inspiring, I guess. Because the more natural it can sound, the more inspiring, at least in our church music situations. That's great. And this is something that sort of interested me. When I was very early in my time of being a bass guitarist, I thought, well, surely bass guitar only has bass frequencies in it. But then that's not true. Every sound we have has less or more of a rather wide spectrum of the frequencies. Very high sort of sounds, MIDI sort of honky sort of sounds, and also the very sort of low. It's actually not. We're not talking about the note that you're playing. We're talking about all the different frequencies that go together to make that sound.
Yep.
That's really good, because then even in bass guitar, we might want to adjust higher frequencies, middle frequencies, and get the right tone that fits in.
For the longest time, I always thought like bass was only 100 hertz, and that's all it was. But there's so much tone that comes from it, and there's in all the instruments. So you have to think about the whole spectrum, and also ask for feedback from your electric guitarists, bass players, and your drummers, and just like, hey, what do you think? Is this the tone you're going for? I think it's important not to color what we're doing, because we're collaborating artists and we're working together on this. So if electric guitarist is like a little too harsh or too jangly, just like, hey, is there something you can do to warm this up instead of me chasing it on the EQ?
Right. It's better to try and bring a sound to the audio engineer and to the mixing console that is already a good quality sound, and we're trying to make that bigger in the room without having to reduce these frequencies or boost frequencies if we can.
Right.
We're hopefully just accommodating for the room size and things like that, rather than trying to make a really bad sounding kick drum or a tom or a snare or a guitar amp sound good.
Yeah.
Great.
Always fix it at the source.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Love it.
Yeah, my pleasure.